Yes, very good morning. How are you doing? You know, for a minute I almost asked myself in the morning. Very good morning. I hope that you are having a wonderful day so far. If you're waking up so easy and you've woken up to the beautiful sound of my voice, you are blessed. Mambo iko sawa tena sana. And despite the focus that Sam Gituku had, alisema Kenyans are not hopeful about the economy of Kenya. We continue to urge the government wafanya kitu. And CJ will tell you that even as you pray, you must have structures, strategy, so that things work. Na siwe tutaangalia meteorological report, alafu ndomia mvua inakuja. Tuendelee kuomba na tufanye kazi. That way, we'll move together as a nation. Tunawapenda sana nyinyi wote, our leaders. We pray for you as well, because the Bible inasema pray for those in authority. That's right. Yeah, we got it. All right. So, let me introduce the panel here. Bobby.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
Uko sawa?
Ilikuwa sarcasm, mama.
No, ilikuwa yani just inaitwa ni editorial. It's my view on the matter. Ni vile Gituku wako niweka kwa panel. Oh. So siko na place ya kuwa, nikasema wacha kabla nianze nisukumie. Itabidi
umeanza kujiingiza kwa conversation zake.
Si ndio? Gituku nasikia. The last 5 minutes unipatie nikujange nikisema and now this is Raburu's minute. Yeah, you're good?
Sana, niko happy. I feel good. I really normally enjoy February because it goes smooth, it goes fast.
Then it's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy. I feel good, full of love. Na feel kuna some good energy vibes going around. So yeah, I'm happy.
You're good?
Yeah, how are you?
Hata mimi niko sawa. I'm really good. Hata mimi.
Despite usingizi.
Despite usingizi na nipeleka hapa. It's just that I can't mention the people I was with, but shout out to y'all. Getting me home at 3 a.m. Good. What is good? Yes. CJ, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm super.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't know we could do white.
Well.
The way we struggle with the wardrobe in the morning, avoiding every white.
Yes. Yeah, may hold you. I feel him because so many good outfits you just put aside.
White.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on, at least you kuna ka black. Kuna ile white yenye na, alafu pia my background is you know, it's been changed because of, ideally, they will teach you in school. My lecturer, Musakali Juma, will tell you, never wear white to an interview. At least, ama unava white, but unava koti.
Oh, okay.
So the best color is actually blue and dark colors. Alafu si stripes, jitaruka hizo. Picha yako itakuwa inafanya hivi. CJ, okay though?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
All right, awesome. Shut up, boy.
Wagwan.
Wasi hata?
Nikusia mono. Yoba nota that.
Amen.
Matidenya yo ndea da yako.
Ndina wako.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Baba. Ya dano se.
You doing well?
I'm great, man.
Yes.
Na uko aje?
Hata mimi niko sawa.
Everything nice?
Everything Chris.
Mguo life.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
nashukuru.
Yes, sir.
All right, so today I want to talk.
Namanisha nini?
Huh?
Everything Chris.
Is everything good? I'm like everything is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, Chris.
The wall ipa nice.
All right. Okay, so today I want to talk about, there's an interesting tweet that came out that I think because Twitter introduced views, this tweet has about 8.6 million views. There it is on your screen, right? And this is as of this morning, I checked. Look at that, 6,351 quotes, 5,239 retweets, and 15,000 likes. But people have viewed this about 8.6 million times. There are people from all over the world that are answering this particular question. It says, married men on my timeline, how many times have you thought of waking up, you leave and not come back? You just disappear. Or as Shatta would say, you just
steep.
Yeah, man, you just steep. So that is the question of the day. Now, I did not bring in the comments because I felt like as it's, even if you look at the latest comments, people have kind of changed the conversation a little bit. They have weaponized it. They are going against African-American women. They're changing the conversation to be bashing women, etc. But there are still some people who, on that thread, were talking about what were some genuine reasons. However, something that came up as well is the fact that men are on a stiep, now attacking mambo ya watoi, especially if they are children involved in that sort of situation. But the fact that it's gotten so many views, so many retweets, people talking with pseudonyms. We don't even know if Polo Kimani, that is his actual name, ama anaitwa something else. But there are many people in that comment section wanaongea mamambos na majambos. Bobby, yes. Just by going through it, what feeling were you getting?
Okay, so when I first saw the tweet, my first thought was, nini nafikisha msee atake tu kujitoa kwa family. And then I realized that I don't know one single person, none of my friends, even if your dad is still alive or he's still present, there's no one I know who had a present father figure, like a dad present. All my friends, their dad were either absent, ama they divorced their moms, ama they left.
And when you say left, they left bila kusema. Like,
yeah, kujitoa, they make the joke, alienda, the milk joke. Yes, he went to get milk and he never come back. And I realized I don't know any single person who has a present father in their lives. So the tweet made me feel, okay, at first I was, because I tried to be compassionate, I was like, why, what would make people get to a point where they just up and leave their families? Right. They just leave. No communication, because ukisoma comments walikuwa nasema au mabuda wanarudi after 30 years, ama they've just been gone forever, they never really came back.
Turns like 18, 19.
Yeah, they show up or they hepad kabisa. So I was trying to understand what would make someone come to that point. And then as I kept reading the comments, I started to see that how the conversation can be perceived from two different fonts. There's the women who are like, this is so wrong, this is so mean, this is so horrible, because this is what they've experienced. Our dads left, our boyfriends leave, our husbands leave. It's something we actually live through. And the men, it's like when they were commenting, it was ilikuwa kama kawaida thing, a thing they do every day. It's just something, one day they wake up and then they decide to leave. And their comments were like, your relationship haiwezi. They're not putting into consideration, I'm not saying stay for the kids, but they're not putting into consideration the promises they'd made, the commitments they have, the kids that they'd sired. Nothing at all mattered. And it made me really sad because I get that. I don't know if the conversation was begun so that men could have a platform where they were able to speak on their emotions and say how they really feel and what pushed them, prompted them to make such decisions. I could get how it could go both ways, but it just made me sad because it made me realize all of us don't have dads. Even if your dad is there, we really never had dads. I bet your dad doesn't know your favorite color, who your best friend is, where you hang out. But if you ask your mom things about that happened to you even 20 years ago, they know everything because they were very present despite having to still provide and still show up in many other ways as mothers, as sisters, as friends. Moms never really left. They stayed there, but they get the heat whilst men were having this discussion like leaving is just a kawaida thing. It's like, ukiboeka, ukichoka, unajitoa.
Unashtie. But there's, again, reading through it, you'll see there are those who have, and then again, not to judge, but those who look like they have genuine reasons, you know, my mental, it was toxic, etc., blah, blah, blah. Then there are those who, like, would leave you, highways, this stuff to highways, nana, and a step. So, anyway, we'd like to know some of your views on that. We want to ask you that question today on SMS, on Twitter, and on Facebook. Why do you think married men leave their relationships? Now, this SMS is 22422. The hashtag to use is Daybreak. You can text us. Again, the number is 22422. And you can use the hashtag Daybreak, and we will get to sample some of your views as well. CJ.
Can I just add
yes,
1 second? You know, it doesn't matter how you live, it's all avoidant. Whether you wake up one day and go get milk or you just decide it's toxic, it's avoidant. Surely you should have the capacity to be able to have these conversations before you leave your family. Because look now, we have a whole generation. It's the dads now who are changing the narrative. But everyone in my age group and everyone before me, we didn't have present dads. And that's why you see how people act, how most men act. They have no emotional intelligence. they have no sense of responsibility because they left. And now I don't think there's really a right reason to just leave. Even if there's no justification, you should be able to have the conversation and say, yo, this is Wagwan. Also, they leave and then they leave their kids and then they show up 18 years later, 20 years. There is no justification because our moms stayed even when we had no food and we were sleeping on the floor. Our moms stayed, so.
All right. CJ, how do you think?
I don't know why you're asking why married men leave. I think you should have left it at why men leave.
Why men leave? Okay, Winnie, let's change it. Yeah, let's change it to why men leave.
Because I think what would push them there, if you qualify it as married, it really changes the dynamic because there are people, we've talked about this before when we were talking about the Supreme Court ruling, there are people who live together as well, not necessarily married, but then those men will feel like they need to leave. There are various factors, I think. Roberta is talking about the mothers having stayed. Women are generally nurturers, that even when she has a child who is stubborn, she will feel like she can walk away with this child and change the child. They learn how to nurture things right from the womb. That is one incapacity with men. Men are nearly like engineers. They want to fix it. So if they can't fix it, then they don't know what they are doing in that space. So some people will run because they feel they lack the capacity to stay. They don't know how to be in a place where they can't provide, where they're not fixing things, where they can't offer direction. They feel that they do not have the ability to raise their children or even to lead the woman. Sometimes what is called toxicity is just the man's incapacitation, because at that particular point he's not in the mental, emotional, or intellectual space to lead this particular person. That would be one reason. Sometimes they will leave because of financial issues, which is a big, big, big part to why some of these men will leave. They will have internal pressure and probably come back home and face some pressure. But if they were not built up to handle difficult situations, have the difficult conversations Roberta is talking about, face crisis, manage it and lead people out of it, the easiest way will be to run. And so the question really is, how well do we prepare men for crisis management? How well do we prepare them for leading change? Because everybody, when facing change, will be scared, trying to see how this change will impact on them, whether the change will bring a negative or positive impact. When there is that aspect of change and you do not even know what's going to happen, most probably there will be the element of fear. And, you know, the psychology of fear is that the first thing that somebody does is the system shuts. So when the system of a man will shut because they do not know how to handle this, maybe they've lost a job, maybe they've lost something, a source of income, then most probably this person will feel that the easiest thing for them to do while they're battling with their issues is also to leave. But then there's the general, there's the thing also of how they are handled by their women as well. When it comes to the kind and the quality of relationship that these two people have, there's a saying, Will, is that things don't go wrong, they start wrong. And somewhere, probably somebody gets to the place where he begins to believe, well, this thing will not work. They may have begun together when they were in college or in school or just in the estate, started off as something going on between the two of them, and then they decided to put up together, you know, they started staying together, or a child came in and the guy said, let me be responsible, took up the lady and said, I will live with them. But then as they begin to relate in that marriage or that setup, he realizes the two of us can't really work.
Right.
You know, the foundation of this thing was wrong. It may have been meeting each other's physical needs at that particular point. Or maybe because they were both free, so they were available for each other. So every other factor was overlooked. Then as he begins to grow, his expectations of who the woman that he lives with will be begin to come out and become more clear. And if the other person, for example, does not grow, or the other person does not see the need for that change, this guy will begin to realize this is not for me. But you see, he's already nearly in an entanglement. So he may stay there for a while and one day get to the place where he feels like, look, this thing is just not working, because there'll be a lot of conflict. Every time you're trying to bring out to the other person the needs for them to change, why they need to see things differently, why the both of you need to grow in certain ways. Nobody wants to live in an environment where they fight daily. So when it gets to that place, at one point he will just probably say, see, this thing is not working at all. Because
so when you say he will say it, is he saying it to himself, or is he having this conversation?
The conversation begins with you.
Right.
Before it goes anywhere.
Right.
In fact, most of these things that are played out as a result of internal conversations. So a man will be sitting over there and he'll be thinking through a lot of things. He will mention a few. You see, men generally have issues, raising issues with women. Women easily raise issues with men. And even when you go into things like when you go into counseling sessions and therapy sessions, most probably you will find a woman come and talk about the issues she has with her man. The cases where a man will come and talk about the issues he has with his woman are very minimal.
Right.
They don't like doing that because I say that women are nurturers, but then men are protectors. So even when a man is going through an abusive relationship, he will still try to protect that. He won't want to expose this woman. He won't want her to look bad. He will want to look like he's in charge and everything is okay. So the conversations will be internal. He will point out an issue here or there, look at the reaction, the response. If he feels that the ground is a bit hostile, he may keep quiet.
Yeah.
But that hasn't stopped the conversation that he has. And so eventually, he may play it out. It's very different for a woman because a woman will easily point out her issues, even if she has 7 of them the same day. She will easily just bring them up. She won't think like, I already talked to him in the morning or something. She will bring you out to the table the whole day. But for the men, it's a bit different. And sometimes also, you see, we've talked about this, like it's not very easy to find a man to talk to as a man as well, especially matters of relationship. It's not very easy because if you'll go to Shatta, he'll say, no, Bazi, you just be strong. There's no empathy. Again, the issue of men being fixers,
right.
You know, he'll either tell you just hold on or he will tell you leave. No empathy. So you never really get to be heard.
Yeah.
So you're not being heard at home, you're not being heard anywhere else. That's why men then will have the internal conversations. And he will go through this thing by himself. Every time a man has a conversation, he's looking for the end game of it. He's looking for the solution. You see, Roberta can have a conversation, not because she's looking for a solution. She just wants to be heard and she wants to be felt. And she's not looking for a solution. But you will want a solution at the end of it as well. So when a man is having a conversation, even with himself, he's beginning to think, so where is this thing going to end up? And if he thinks that it is not going to end up well, he may feel like, I need to pack up and leave.
Yep. All right. So,
but who gets hurt at the end of all this?
At some point, collateral damage doesn't matter. Yep.
Oh my God.
Anyway, there's interesting mention that there's a report actually done by CDC that says that most partners, and this is now both male and female, think about divorce for over a period of about 2 years before they actually do it. So that is the actual statistic that utakaa unafikiria for like 2 years, unaangalia tu umse, you go over the ups, the downs, the ups, the downs. I said, Bobby alisema up and downs ni cheating. I've loved it through the ups and downs. Anyway, that happens. Shut up. First of all, what do you think about that? And then also, do you feel that then men always pile up these things for a long time hadi inafika point ya kushtia? If once you've had the internal conversation, like CJ said, like I feel this thing is not working, test the waters, uka-communicate, ukasema, ukaona reaction, ukasema kama hii ndio reaction, itakuwa the reaction all through, so nishtie. Do you think it's a matter of you piling up and communication, and also what are your own thoughts?
Mule, hata mimi ningetaka kuanza kama CJ nikiuliza hiyo swali, mbona mnauliza hivyo? Mimi ningetaka hata mngeuliza what's keeping you there? What's keeping you there as a man? Uraget? Because hii conversation will arise from men telling other men to be courageous enough to step. Unajua people are finding reasons as why they stay. Walikuwa it's because of the kids. Si nakumbuka nikiwaambia tulizeni watu. When ikifika jioni you say you're going home, do you go home back to your partner or to your children? Unaget? Most men will tell you they go back to their children because ya ile sinema wanaonesha nyumbani. So I'll stay for the children. Nangoja afike 18 years. You keep giving yourself reasons as to why you're addicted to toxicity. You keep telling yourself acha tu afike 18 years ndastie one day. So hao walikuwa wanapatiana courage. Mwingine anasema mimi nili step nikamwambia next month mwanze kujipanga na rent. Unaona? Because he got that courage. But still what I'd say is this, no man ever lives ati like this. Aliamka leo na kaishia. This man left you a long time ago. It shows that you were just absent in the relationship. You did not pay attention to every signal that was coming your way. Nobody leaves you today. Kwani they are mad? Hata in a relationship, watch at a marriage. Leo ulikuwa date mtu akuja kuambie let's break up. This person broke up with you a long time ago. You just didn't pay attention or you saw it and chose to ignore it. Unaget? Your brain told you and your inner self told you that this thing died. But wewe kajiambia I'll revive it, that resuscitate. So wewe unajipea hapo hopes, So one day when the person decides to leave, you say, but he just woke up and left. No. You didn't pay attention to the day they left emotionally. You just paid attention to the day when you realized that actually now there is no human being here. Ulitoka kitambo, unaget? I wanted to start with the wise words of one great man called C.J. Atemo. A place he had written, he had said, withdraw privilege, uone character. Sindio? That's how it was, yes? Amazing.
Uone attitude.
Yes, uone attitude, sindio?
Yeah.
Yes. Watu wengi, mtakuwa mna date, hapo ndo unaona privilege kibao. Unaget when then you, maybe you move in together mwanze kuishi na yeye, and now you have responsibilities that appear to have taken away from what they used to know. Unaget? Alafu wanakuanzia bala hapo and they refuse to adjust to the reality yenye iko at that particular moment. So it gets to a point when you try telling them last week here we said stop talking to people who don't listen to you. Unajichokesha. At least maybe they listen to the silence. Unaget? When it gets to that point where umeongea na mtu akusikizagi, sasa unajua ni aje, wacha nikuondokee. Maybe my absence will make you realize I was talking to you. Unaget? That is where most men are getting to nowadays. Again, why are men living? Look at the age yenye ina live. You don't expect mtu wako almost 60, ameka kwa marriage 30 years, anaamka anaishia mzaya mezidi at 60.
But kuna wengine wanashia.
It can happen, yes, but majority ni the young generation. Unaget? You can put an age bracket of 35 to maybe 25. Unaget? Right. So realize hapo ndio watu wengi. Unajua ni kwa nini? It's because ndo unajifind. Una realize actually this is not what I wanted. I got myself here out of pressure. I have tried to read this person to change even inakataa. Unaget? Still unajiambia niko na time right now, if I leave now I can go start. Unaelewa? Naenda nianze tena maisha. Juu ushajiuliza at what age would you consider a man to be at his prime? Unaget? At what age would you consider a lady to be at their prime? Unaget? Kama utaconsider them ako at their prime between the age of 21 and 26, ako at her prime. Sindio? Chali at the age of 30 to 35 ndo ako at his prime. Sindio? Uchali akiwa at the age of 21 to 26. Ako na access ya umdem ako 21 to 26 wa age yake, ama umdem ameona wababas ndio formation. Unaget? So uchali sasa ile anapata anajifind ndo unamwambia settle down. Unaget? Clearly that settling down is good, but there are things that you want him to do at that age that he cannot. There'll have to be a lot of sacrifice for them to do it. Unaget? And when they feel that they're sacrificing that much and on the other side it's not being reciprocated, now living becomes an option. Unaelewa? And when you say mostly zamani, this thing, whether we accept it or not, it's I like saying generational issue, but it's a time frame issue, like where we live now. Zamani ningekosana na mama, probably angeenda kwao. Sindio? Then I would organize my people tuende kwao. Tukae chini, niaje. So mimi na huyu tunashingi vizuri lakini tulikuwa ruzana. So ningependa mtusaidie. Already napata wazazi wake washampiga counseling. Unagete? So nikifika huko mambo mambo imejejemka sana, so we talk. Unaona? But right now tukikosana na mama, what does she do? Anakwambia nyumba hapo kando ya kwangu. Haendi kwao. Anakwambia hapo kando na inafanishwa na mbabasi. Sawa? Na inaweka vitu kubwa sana kuliko zile mimi nilikuwa nazo kwangu.
Na nakupress subliminals online.
Yes, mbaya. Una get? Hadi watu wanaanza kusema tunataka kwenda kwa mama. Tunataka kwa daddy, tunataka kwa mama. You see, hapo ndo tumefika kwa hii life that conflict is no longer a family based. Like when I say family, I mean my parents, her people, you know, that tungeenda to solve. Right now ni now and now tumemalizana, haikui sawa, we step. Hii nyumba mimi mbaya vitu mingi kuliko, okay, ina shida. Mwanaume una stay. It was unheard of for a man to step zamani. More probably, unajua, when we have a conversations, we base them on the urban setting. Una get? Kuna rural setting pia yenye na exist that dem alikuwa anakaa kwa kina Chali. Una get, like hapa ndo kwetu kwa baba yangu amejenga hapa, mimi nimejenga hapa. Nimeoa, nimeleta mama wapi? Hapa. Una get? So there is no way I would step. Ndatoka nimwache kwetu. Niende wapi? Iwezekani, una get?
So una maintain.
So ngori mimi wanaweza, yes.
The wisdom of the elders.
Yeah man, inabidi sasa hiyo time jua alikuwa anajua hakuna venye mzee hata step na pia mimi sitatoka hapa kwake nijengea hapa kando, angekuja kwa mother yako. Una get? She will just move from your house to your mother's house. Amwambie yewe kuna balaa pale kwangu. Your mother would talk to your father. Your father would summon you and wazae wengine, si ndio? Or your father would tell your uncle and your uncle to sit you down. Musol, si ndio? Ama kama ingefika point ameenda kwao, still ingekuwa ni wazazi wangekaa chini waseme turudisheni watoto wetu kwa njia. Una get? That one we have lost. So right now ni mimi na wewe tuko hii town tumekosana. Next thing ni wazazi wangu watakam kwangu wa realize hii nyumba mbona hii kitchen inakaa vyombo azipikagi. Naambia huyo aliendaga. Haikuwa hii hit at the day she left or the day he left, the first person who would tell is your parents that kimeumana hapa kwangu kujeni munisaidie. They would find out when they visit you and realize hakuna watoto wanakimbia hapa. Una get? Such situations. That's where we've come.
Find somebody else.
Yes.
They show up and like anaangalia if I'm in the right house. Anaangalia namba kwanza.
But I love parents tend to have crazy questions. Wanakupima. Ataangalia ameona ule alikuwa hapa last time alikuwa mkubwa. Huyu ni mpienga. Anakuuliza na kwani aliacha kukula? They know this is a different person. But bengoja akakuuliza na kwani rada. Uje tuambie story.
What happens, our parents were professional at seeing but unseeing at the same time. Wana
umeona na jaona. See and blind. Yeah man.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so Bobby, I guess you know what there's that element that CJ mentioned and Shatta has mentioned as well. What happens if, because there is that initial point you'll feel, okay, I need to talk to this person before I start even thinking about leaving, let's try to stay. But then you bring up something, and then the way it's handled, 1 or 2 times, you bring up something and you realize that mtu ana emotional intelligence, some of the capacities to listen, and even as hard as you try to articulate your issues as key. So what happens for that stage? Because I feel like that's a very important stage. That communicating your feelings, and I think this is what's wrong, and that is very important as to the next step. In this case, since we're talking about men, that the man will take. Either sasa basi kama ni hivyo kwa hii nyumba, zip, mimi siongeangi, wacha tuwe fanya mambo hivyo until the day it piles up and he leaves. Or he will say, oh, I brought this up and it's been bugging me, like CJ said, we're engineers, and you help fix it. So how do you kuna man ameongea na msema na this is not fertile ground for conversations. So what does it do?
First of all,
God him so.
Nataka kukaunta kitu Shatta amesema. As a woman who dates men, men do leave for no reason sometimes.
It is very rare. As a man,
no, let me explain.
A man that
Nilijua mutani. Listen.
Has dated women all his life.
Listen.
I am telling you.
Okay, let's listen to Bobby's point.
Yeah, it's my time. Because I get to experience relationships with men, and like CJ said, you could have had the conversation internally, but if you have not discussed it with me, that means you've left for no reason. Because kasi jui
Discussion
rada,
is relative.
kasi jui rada,
Mbona
sijui
huku
rada.
ama uliambiwa na
But do you know discussion is relative?
Sikizeni. Sikiza, unaona kwa hizi
Hold on.
streets, kwa hizi
Wacha
streets.
malize kwanza.
Unaona venye nyinyi mnaniambianga ni juni wewe Bobby. Wacha niseme ni juni nyinyi. Because us we have a relationship going on, we talk about things. Kwa streets, au majamaa wana emotional intelligence. For real, like hawana na hawajali. They will be with you today, tomorrow they'll be with someone else. You can ask the women in your lives if I'm being biased. Talk to the girls in your lives, talk to your moms, talk to your daughters. Ask them. These people are not emotionally intelligent. What are kwa relationships ati romantic? Kwa platonic relationships, you'll be friends with a man, he'll get pissed off one day and he doesn't talk to you, he doesn't tell you what happens, he doesn't tell you what's wrong. Maybe he got jealous or maybe he got angry about something you did. But these men kwa streets hawana emotional intelligence. So if you have not discussed it with me, how am I supposed to take it as something happened or I didn't see the red flags or what? Ata kuna hizi nini. I'll share with you guys some stuff about people being interviewed about their relationships where they're just saying people left. And it's a bit difficult for women to just leave because of what CJ said, the nurturing element. I'm not saying that it's easier for men to leave or anyone can leave a situation when they put their mind to it and they decide. But as it is, the statistics venye ziko, as somebody who experiences men romantically, they do that. They actually do that.
Leave.
They leave.
And when you called, you asked for a reason why? Why did you leave?
They don't want to talk and it's not, it could be they want to talk, but they do not have the mental capacity or the emotional intelligence of how to communicate their feelings, of which sometimes it's not entirely their fault because, you know, hizi vitu zimechangiwa na childhood trauma, how they grew up. So I'm not saying that you people are stupid because you don't talk. I'm just saying, hawana your intelligence, and that is actually what happens to us. So nyinyi maybe mme have your internal dialogue and on your point umeona udem na kwanga nimemshow hivi ndo mimi niko nataka, but if you do not have the actual conversation with me, you have left for no reason. That's what I'm going to take it as. So the thing is, kwa ground, that is exactly what is happening. People are leaving for no reason. And even if there was a reason, how are you going to justify, like right now as my dad, you show up, how are you going to justify leaving me 20 years ago? What are you going to say? That my mom was toxic to you, so you left the relationship. And these men, when they leave, why don't they live with their kids? You'll say, oh, they're not naturals, they're not. No, if you used to stay because of your kids, why didn't you live with them? And why are you leaving this toxic woman, this woman who was so toxic to you and destroyed the relationship? How are you trusting her with your kids then? You just up and disappear. You go get milk and you don't show up for 20 years, for real. And you can say, okay, some of the excuses were, oh, the woman is mean to me in the relationship, but she treats the kids differently. Really? Mimi hakuna venye neza enda niishi nianze life mahali na najua nimeacha mjama wangu mwenye ako toxic to me na watoi wangu, haiwezi work. I don't know how it's, you can say it's because I'm a woman, or you can say, so really there's no justification, there's no reason, unless the relationship was, let's say, physically abusive, emotionally abusive, which is a question I'm coming to answer, to the point where there's no fixing, nothing can be done. But even up to that point, you need to work on your emotional intelligence. Please don't assume everyone knows what you go through as a man, because even us as women, trust me, we go through things. Pia si tulizaliwa, go through childhood trauma. We've been through so many assaults. We've gone through so many things up to the point tumefika. So ukiniona saizi ka dem na kapoa nimejipaka makeup, it doesn't mean that because I'm like this, I haven't been through things. It's intentional effort. I've taken time. I've read books. I've talked to people. I've worked on my personality. I've talked to other people with experiences. I've listened. That's why I'm able to be compassionate. I'm able to be understanding. I'm able to show up in my relationships. Sai nikikosana na wewe Willis, sitasema ati, oh, my dad abandoned me, I'm not used to Bruh, it doesn't work like that. I have to be very intentional with my relationships and say, yo, I'm not used to men in my life staying. My dad left. My boyfriends left. They hurt me. But since you're my friend in this present, I don't want to repeat the same cycle. So I'm not going to judge you the way the people before you treated me, but I'm going to work on this relationship. I'm going to try my best. Na ikifika point yenye hatuwezi ongeleshana or hatuwezi fix situation, there should be at least that, I don't know how I can call it, like some sort of notification. Honestly, huwezi kuwa umefika that far na someone, you have kids, and you can't say. You wake up one day and you decide, unaenda kwanza kulipa rent na. Imagine if life were that easier for women. Imagine if even us, we could just wake up one day and decide.
Woken up and left.
But that's happening right now because it's like sai tunaanza kutaka ku one up each other. Tunataka kuona if men can do that, even us we can do that. If men can cheat, even. And then it erodes all the family values because instead of us working together to build, and I always say if you want to know a relationship is good for you, the general vibe that is always there is that you guys are working together towards the good of the relationship. Whether mkosane, whether go through trauma, whether go through life-changing occurrences, the general vibe that is supposed to be there is that we are working together to build something better. We're trying to improve, to be better. Let's say, I can give an example of, sorry to use this if it's too close, like if you lose your kid. You guys muli kwa na relationship na mlika go that far to a point where you had a child together. Surely you can't be on the same page about we're going through this together and we should work together so that we can get better. Whether you do it separately or together or in whatever way, the general vibe for someone who cares about you, someone who's your friend, they're on your team. Whether they like you or they're mad at you or they're pissed off, they're always on your team and they want to see you do better. So let's not glorify men waking up and leaving and saying things like, oh, he had the courage, bruh. You should have had the courage to talk to your family. To talk to your family.
Please.
Most of them are there wakitoka.
Guys,
if you think
my hand will fall down.
Anatoka. Amekuwa amejaribu kila kitu. Sasa anashtia.
Let me tell you.
Mimi sijui mnaongea juu ya meno gani juu mimi.
Kuna wengi. Sasa hata sisi kwa circle zetu tuko na wengi. I can name 6.
Let me tell you a practical example, on a light note, though. This is exactly why we live. You see, because we tell you who we are, and you guys tell us who we are. You know, I have just explained to you a man. That is how we think. That is how we interpret things. You see, but you have countered it and told me how.
Sorry, what do you mean by this is how we are? Don't you have the capacity to improve and become better?
This is exactly what I'm telling you now. This is why we live. See this conversation? This is why we wake up and you think we left. We brought up the conversation with you.
Okay.
We told you who we are. But you guys have an image of who we should be at the back of your minds. And you think we being we are people that are emotional and non-intelligent. You know? We are just not built the way you want us to behave. You know? That's
I can't
like,
answer. Niko kwa 4.
Just like...
Go ahead, sorry.
You see, just like we can't expect you to behave like men, you know, there's a way that sees to may build you. And that is how we are. I think 2-3 weeks ago here I said that every day there is a book, there is a talk, there is something telling a man how to be a man. You know, because people believe that we were brought up or we were created dysfunctional. And people have to fix us and make us who we should be. You know, but no one has ever sat down and realized actually, if we have been saying these things since time immemorial, this is who this person is. You know, and we need to adjust to this person the way they are. The biggest problem is, I am repeating it here again, nobody wakes up and leaves. This person left you a long time ago. Whatever you've been doing has been eating him. He has a different way of telling you. You have, because for the lady who has been taught to be in touch with her emotions since childhood, needs to realize that, okay, my man is not emotionally intelligent, but I am. So if there's an issue that I'm seeing in him, let me deal with it emotionally, intelligently, in a way to bring it out of him, you know?
And he putting the effort as well.
This is it. Him being him is effort enough. Let me tell you something.
Shata huwezi sema hivyo ndo
because I'm not telling you to change. Excuse me. Mimi sijakwambia uchange. You see, this is where you're going wrong. Mimi just umesema wewe uko emotionally intelligent, si ndio? I am asking you to use that what you've said you have. I have not told you to add anything or reduce. Just like I'm not telling this man to add anything or reduce anything. You have that already. Use it. He does not have it. He can't use it. That's it. The moment you start wanting this person to become the version
better.
of you. No, a version of you. We said better for who? We asked
Better for himself, because if he has the capacity to communicate his emotions, he is fixing himself. It's not for me.
When you want this person to change for you,
for him,
where they leave you. And when they leave, is that they have chosen themselves. That is also another thing you need to consider. Guys have been telling men to be in touch with their emotions. And when we get in touch with our emotions, we realize this relationship here isn't serving my emotions, and we step. This is a pro and con of you telling men to be in touch with their emotions. And when I choose me, it's my emotions that have told me to choose me. That's why I step.
Shata, give me a practical example.
Right now,
they are seated here.
Oh my word!
Listen,
oh my word.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about an example of you guys.
Okay,
I'm saying the relationship I have with you people is different, because us guys have a friendship going on, and you guys are emotionally intelligent.
Let me give
I'm talking about the guys who don't. Huyo example umepeana ya mse mwenye hana emotional intelligence. And I'm not trying to change him.
That word is relative. To you, he might appear
okay, venye mi ananishow. Venye mi
to you, he might appear not to have it, because there's a way you expect it. But to him, he has it, and it has guided him to who he is.
If you can't communicate, you're not practicing your intelligence.
You see, communication is two-way. That's why I say you don't talk to people that don't listen to you. Because he could be communicating, but you're not listening.
Shata unapushi narrative kwa kushtiep. Like,
no, I'm telling you. The question was,
amesema ana communicate lakini
mimi nakuuliza jua wale hawa communicate.
Hata inafanyika saa hii.
No, nimekuelewa, lakini nakuuliza, what about the ones who are not communicating that we deal with? What about those ones? I'm not talking about you guys.
Look, Bobby, I'm telling you they communicate. It is for you guys to understand their communication.
All right, let's CJ, what do you think about? And we have some SMS, but let's okay. This is Stephen Lavender. It starts with hearsay. Everything is issues about what is intoxicated. It's every time it's issues about what was intoxicated to someone. All right. Raymond Silali. It could be due to feeling unfulfilled in the relationship, growing apart from their partner, or feel like they are not receiving the emotional or physical support they need. Other common reasons include communication issues, unresolved disagreements, lack of trust and intimacy, different life goals, infidelity, or rather addiction problems. It really starts with women, which brings the effect so hard to solve. Leaving becomes the best option for a man to be safe. You know, women can be toxic if they want to. The moment a man or one of the parent finds no peace at home, he or she will find another home. Same as any other human being. What I wish as a man is a good family and to take full responsibility. Men leave if they have realized majukumu yamepita kiwango chake cha kuwa family protector. Faith Shege from Nakuru, it's really a hard question, but I think most men leave when they are not in a position to cater for their families, though that's not the solution, because ladies struggle and don't give up that easily. Men should learn to fix or talk it out with their partners rather than running away from their families. The men who leave are the ones who see they made a mistake in that particular marriage. Okay, my husband is an overseer. One day I went to work and did not find my husband at home, only to learn later that he had gone to a single mother from church who was doing good financially. But this led to close down the church because women in the church reacted. Alienda zero grazing. Men leave one. They're not recognized, loved, and respected. Two, they need their freedom. Freedom. That's the last one for now? All right, okay, so those are some of the issues. CJ, back to the issues and listen to the two sides fronted here. what would be your response?
No, I'm not talking to them. They just need to come for a session. I'm not going to lose revenue like that.
Just like
Revenue, man. We're losing revenue. Government is taxing everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, while I was sitting just listening to both Shatta and Bobby, there are these things that, and we keep on bringing up this element of the conflict of the cultures that we are in. And Shatta mentioned the issue of the urban and the rural people. And we mostly then address the people who are in the urban areas who have this conflict of culture, which is the modern culture and African culture as well. Some of the men will leave because they actually saw their fathers leave. Their fathers never showed them how to manage a crisis. They never saw their fathers handle a conflict. So when they get into the space where there is a conflict, they don't know how to do that. The other week, I was having a conversation, fathers and sons, in Mombasa, and I talked about that as well. I said, you see, you have to model a lot of things. Right. A father is a model, so you have to model a lot of things, including even conflict resolution, because if your son grows up never knowing that, one, there can be conflict, and two, that conflict can be resolved. When they face conflict, they feel helpless, and they might just get off and go, because that's a very unfamiliar territory for them unless they receive help from somewhere else. But we have this thing also of how were men living in the past. Probably he has his house here, the first wife lives there, the other wife lives there, so they were not really living together. He comes in, they have their time, he'll visit the children and all of that, then moves, goes to the next. Then now we have a very different setup where the man is domesticated, but he has never really been trained to be domesticated. The woman has, from childhood. Make sure you make your bed, clean your room, wash your clothes. Have you done this? Have you done this? This is what you need to do. You've got to cook. You've got to do this. There's so much training for the girl at home. There's very little or no training for the man at home. Wake up, go out, pick your ball, play with other friends, come back, you're dirty, go into the shower, come back. Very little of that domestication. Then you take this girl who has been trained for the home and bring them with a man just because he's now mature and he earns a salary, and you say, now, Willis, the only thing remaining is for you to have a wife, just because you have a salary. But what training has been done to this man to actually take those responsibilities? Who has talked to them on how to live with a woman, how to relate, how to communicate in a way that the woman will understand, how to lead conflict, change, how to manage the different circumstances when children are coming in? Who has even trained them on how to respond to when this woman is actually beginning to become toxic? Because now you have a situation where a man is brought in to become the leader, but the woman has always learned that she's managing that home. Already there are nearly two heads in this space. So who actually makes the decisions? Who runs the things in that place? You come back and she just decided she wanted to change everything in the house. She doesn't even think she's disrespecting you, and she's not intending to disrespect you. She feels the home is her responsibility. Then a man is here like, why didn't you ask me? He feels he's the head of that home. It's just an issue of roles that have not been defined because one person has not known how to behave in that particular place. It gets back to the issue then of communication, that has got to be very huge. On the flip side, I've got to say there are families that are working greatly. Because if the relationship is working, then these roles will not really be an issue. I watched a clip where Steve Harvey was saying this thing is never 50-50. It is 85-15. He said when it comes to the family, the woman makes 85% of the decisions. He said, you know nothing about the home, so just leave it. He said that's what he does, and he likes it. It works for him. For some people, that may not work. Again, it depends on the capacity of the woman, because there are people also who they're married to ladies who may not be good stewards, who may not be good managers, who may not be industrious. The day they got married, they arrived. That's all they have. No life goals, no vision, no nothing. They'll mismanage money, they'll mishandle the children. It's not always the men. Right. But the element of us not being trained to be domesticated. You wake up every day in the same space with the same person and handling these issues every day could also be a factor, Willis. It could be a factor, but this is a strange place. So while I am coming in as the head, I'm actually a trainee in the things that I need to do. And when the person begins to feel that they are overwhelmed, they may begin to think that, look, I'm not cut out for this. It may not be that they are not. It's just that they are feeling like I never match up. If somebody else was talking to them, like now what Shada brought up about, the community before. The community before used to mentor the people. Today we just go. And then we get to a place and we wonder, how do I do this? Then I'm looking at Willis, and Willis also, he's talking about he's about to leave. Then I'm looking at Shata, he's about to leave. Then we are like, okay, guys, why don't we just...
Then there's a whole generation of kids
then a whole
without
generation
dads
who is gone like that. I think it gets back there as well. There will be other cases that are extreme. There will be those cases where there's emotional abuse from the woman, where there's a lot of toxicity, of course, where this man comes home and every day, the words are just cutting like a knife, and no matter how well he tries to communicate, be understood, heard, or accommodative, it's just not working. He's dying on the inside, and so they do not know how a no can work for them. Very manipulative. They can get very erratic even with their behavior. In their anger, they'll take up a weapon or something. They may not stab, but they threaten. At that particular point, this man may not feel safe to be here, no matter how good he is, no matter how well trained he is, no matter how much of emotional intelligence he will have. He'll just feel like this place is not very good, which still then raises the question that Roberta did, that, okay, if you have that kind of a woman, why would you leave the children there? Because this level of abuse will still go down. The absence of the man will bring in frustration. We talk about our mothers having stayed, but all these jokes about African mothers, and you look at it, you realize these mothers struggle to raise their children. Emotionally, they nearly were abusive. We laugh about them because we love them, but they nearly were abusive. Why? Because most of them were broken. So whatever pain they had, they released on the children.
Yeah.
They nearly felt that the children were the reason why they couldn't move on with their lives. So every pressure they would have, you would ask for something, not you're a PC's son.
Please.
But you'd ask for something, and it's nearly criminal to ask for it.
Well.
And the pressure is because she's financially struggling, because a man has left. So she feels like she's really managing very little resources. So you'll actually nearly be beaten for asking for something that is extra. All of those kind of things came out. So even though they stayed, yes, but how did they behave towards even those children? So when you leave a woman and she's hurting and she's toxic and she's broken and you leave her with the children, you're raising another generation of abuse as well. They will not be protected. She will be screaming and shouting and, venting her anger, because a woman has got to release every pressure that she has. So these children, they will feel that's just normal. That's just an African mother, throwing at you a pan or doing something. They say that's just an African mother. But where does this stress come from? Where is all this energy that is being projected on the children coming from? She just doesn't know where to take it because the man is absent. So it keeps on bringing another generation and another generation of people who are going to do something else. I would suggest, way forward. We can be very descriptive of the issues, but way forward is we need to train our sons. We need to train the men. We need to train them not just to make the money, because this is where men are considered to just be the machines, ATM, just bring the money. We need to train them. How do you raise your family? How do you lead? This is a whole management course. We talk about business management. We need to talk about home management.
Right.
It's not easy. It's not easy, Will, is to have solutions every day, find people every day, guide them on their finances, dreams. I've got kids now who are in their adult age. You've got to guide them in their careers, in their purposes, things, and you've got to negotiate that. We have to begin focusing on training the men on playing the roles domestically.
All right, well,
but do not forget the daughters as well. There's
But
nothing more
sifundishwa
frustrating.
forever.
There's nothing more frustrating than going to train that man how to behave kwa hiyo keja, anakuja anafila kona formula tayari, ailete kwa hiyo aanze kuimplement ikatae kuwork because huyu naye mwingine hajafunzwa. Unaelewa? Sasa yeye atakuwa frustrated at a step tu bado because kwanza atakuja kuwa blame me. You told me if I do this and this it will work.
but so what?
Just train boys
day.
and girls.
Yes.
Just put them together and tell them, and this is how things should work.
Yeah.
They used to work for us like this. Vitu zimechange leo and here, we can adjust here and here and here. That way, we will bring up a generation that inaweza ishi pamoja. But right now where we are, boys and girls cannot live in the same roof. Because no one is
teaching both of them.
No one is willing to submit to the other.
All right.
That's how.
All right, well, naamua hapa nasema kama unataka kuenda, be brave enough to say it, be accountable to your children. That's what makes the difference. And also that vile Sija amesema women are nurturers and they can grow into nurturing. Pia men can learn a couple of things along the way. I guess, you know, if you're a man watching, I think, most of the things we've talked about here are based on communication, knowing yourself, emotional intelligence. Now, these things are not there for everybody. Everybody's specific case is different. And you're the one who knows what your case is and what it is you're going through and what you need. You're the one who lives there. So make a decision based on the specificity of your situation. Yako wewe mwenyewe. Usione kwa sababu niliona Willis anafanya hii, maybe hiyo ndo vile inafaa kuwa. Hapana, if you can still have a chance to talk and work things out, by all means do it. But I would like to make an appeal to the men who either, and this is now for men all over, whether you've left your kids with your mama and you have not told them anything, or you found out she was pregnant na ukastiep, tafadhali, try to be in the life of your kids. Like we've all said here, you don't want to raise a generation. We'll just be transferring the problem. 20 years from now, there'll be another Willis here sitting talking about why men leave. Hashtag. There'll be another Polo who will write another tweet. Why? Because we are not learning. So this is just to start the conversation. From here, do something about it.
Pia madem walau wanaume nafasi kwa maisha ya watoto wao. Kuna wanaume wanataka kuwa there for their children na wananyimwa because wanakia conditions hawawezi. Okay?
You decide. All right, Shata amesema let the men also be in the lives of the children. Sawa? Peace and love.